All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the January 6th, 2026 Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee meeting. I'll note that we have a quorum. First item of business is the approval of the December 2nd meeting minutes. Any changes or discussion or motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we have item A under old business for 58 Humphreys Court. They did go to the zoning board, but had one of the variances denied, so I told the applicant that we're gonna just postpone this indefinitely so that they might appeal to court or come back with a different plan. So I'd entertain a motion to postpone indefinitely.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then one other item, item C under old business, 2299 Lafayette Road. They have indicated that they're withdrawing their application. So I'll just note that that's withdrawn. If anyone's here for item C under old business. All right, we'll move on to item B under old business, the request of Aurora LLC owner for property located at 150 Portsmouth Boulevard, requesting site plan review approval for the construction of 3 6-story multifamily residential buildings with associated site work, including parking, driveway access, utility, drainage, landscaping and lighting improvements, and reconstruction of Portsmouth Boulevard in front of the development. Property is located on Assessor Map 213, Lot 12, and lies within the Office Research and Gateway Neighborhood Overlay Districts. Welcome.
Afternoon, members of the committee. Frank Curcio, Time Bond. Also joined today by Patrick Crimmins from Time Bond and a couple from the applicant, Joe Gohegan and Jeremy Baldwin, as well as Peter Beebe from Procon as the architect. By this point, I believe the committee is fairly familiar with the application. We'll try and go pretty brief today. As of yesterday, we were in receipt of some additional comments from the committee, which I'd be happy to run through with some preliminary responses for the record. First, we received a comment to please expand the pedestrian alley to the full width of the required 15 feet. Happy and open to increasing the width of this access way to the minimum 15 feet where necessary. Comment number 2 was to please explain the fire pump service and pump arrangement. The site is proposed to be served by a central fire pump room that's located in Building B. We have 2 mains that extend off of the main within Portsmouth Boulevard. And off of those mains, we have a T to that pump room in Building B, which serves the fire services that redistribute back out to buildings A and C. And then from a domestic perspective, we have domestic Ts that come off of those main entrances into the site, which serve or extend over to buildings A, B, and C independently, and there are separate domestic booster pumps within each of the buildings to then service the more frequent and individual building demands that are not as transient as the fire demands. Comment number 3 was to add some fire lane markings in front of buildings on the parking lot side. We're happy to add those on the next submission of plans. And comment number 4 was to include an Knox box padlock for a proposed emergency gate. As of the last TAC meeting, we were directed to not include an emergency gate, and we're not including one on this current submission.
That was for the emergency access gate to the PSNH land or whatever land for the power company. It was a separate gate off of Portsmouth Boulevard.
It's the back access road
Yeah.
that he was referring to.
Great. So with that, those are the comments that we received yesterday.
So we were at the DPW. We were able to get together today and compile a number of comments that I would like to head over now. I apologize we weren't able to get them to you sooner.
And they are extensive. I'm not sure that we necessarily need to go through them line by line today. I think the thing to do would be to schedule a work session between you guys and the DPW to go through a bunch of these issues before your next iteration of plans, just so that we're all on the same page. There's substantial amount of.
Okay, yeah, we'll certainly need to
And
go through.
again, you know, apologies for just getting to you, but with the holidays and everything, we just got the plans yesterday. Reality, so.
Okay, well, thank you for those, we'll go through those.
I'll make sure planning gets a digital copy of these so you guys can have that in that format as well.
With that, those were the comments we received so far. We'll go through these under a separate work session. I think under the hope that potentially these comments could be addressed under stipulations of approval or amended as such, if the board's amenable to that.
I don't think in good faith we're gonna be amenable to that today, just to be honest with you. But certainly on board to work through these things as quickly as possible with you guys. And some of the things we didn't understand why you did, and some of the things we have some questions about. So that's why we really just wanna have an open dialogue.
We appreciate these, that makes sense to me, so procedurally, we, I was trying to think when that would take place, if it's a.
If you can try to make a call planning, make an appointment for sometime next week, we'd be happy to meet with you guys. And
Great.
everybody that needs to be there can be there and we can talk and it's worked out. Some of it's drainage related, a lot of it's road related.
Yep.
There's nothing substantial to the buildings that's related, so it has nothing to do with the overall program of what you're trying to develop.
Okay.
It's just detail stuff.
Understood. Is there anything else that with this group in the room you wanted to cover beyond the comments that we received via email or comments printed out here?
Oh, Patrick, I had the opportunity to kind of look at the access road that you lined out, and I think I'm in agreement with that. I think we're on the same page mostly, but there's just some things that we had some questions about that we just need to decide.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
I think we were just representing what we had shown, probably drawn 10 years ago at this point, so we're open to
I understand,
amending.
I get it.
Yeah. Happy to work with you guys though, for sure.
Since you were able to explain the fire pump situation, do you plan on having a generator for it? I saw a generator on the plans that also for the fire pump?
Yes, that is specifically for the fire.
Oh, it's a life safety. Perfect, thank you.
Can we just look at the community space plan? You guys said you were amenable to adjusting it, I just wanna make sure I'm clear on what that means. I think there's just a little bit of a question about the hatching and the hourglass sort of shape,
Right, these areas.
those areas there, and then the,
So you're just looking for a consistent 15-foot width using the center of the sidewalk all the way through?
yeah, that would be fine, as long as it's clear what it is. I guess, why does it shrink down? Is it just to stay between the planters? Is that,
I think he would, yeah, the way it's depicted is just grabbing the curb lines along the edges of the planters and then coming back into where the pedestrians will funnel through the buildings. But we're happy to amend it to however the city
so
sees fit.
is the white rectangles planters?
The white side of that is landscaping, the middle of that is sidewalk, yes.
Yeah, I don't know that the
I
sidewalk.
think we were just looking at the definition of a pedestrian alley.
Mhm.
And saying, it says it's supposed to be 15 feet.
Sure, we're happy to, again, we can simplify it and make it a 15-foot width, absolutely.
Just so it conforms with that
Sure.
standard.
At least 15 feet, right? That's what the
Right,
comment was.
minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Are those stairs?
They are stairs, yes.
Is that ADA requirement? The ADA requirements?
The stairs do not, you would have ADA, this too big of a grade change there. So you can connect
there an
into the,
alternate
you can
path?
connect into the site from other edges of the site. You can use the sidewalk to come into the site, but coming up through that middle one, there's a too big of a grade change. So
Your ADA spaces are closer to the building anyway.
that's correct, yes.
You're all set.
But I think Vincent's point was that that's public space. So technically it needs ADA access if it's an accessible use.
Or to the lower, to the green space down below.
To the green space up above, that's really, in real space, that's much higher than that.
We can look at the potential to put some ramp.
Lower on the
configuration.
sheet, higher in grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a way to accommodate that.
We'll take a look at it and see if we can accommodate.
Does that also require handicap parking up near the green space walkway
It may.
then? That might be, yeah. 'Cause that
So
was,
just look at those issues and respond back, please.
Yeah, they did.
All right, any other comments from TAC members? Is there anyone from the public here wanting to comment on this application or on Zoom? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion. If there's no further discussion, we'll look for motion to continue this.
So moved.
Schedule a
Second.
work session with the applicant. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks all.
Thanks, all. We'll be in touch to schedule that meeting.
All right, on to new business. The request of Sagamore Avenue CBC LLC owner for property located at 1151 Sagamore Avenue, requesting site plan review approval for the demolition of the existing structure and construction of 4 standalone condominium single-family structures with associated site improvements. Property is located on assessment map 224 lot 19 and lies within the mixed residential office district.
Good afternoon, everyone. Drew Olachowski with Haley Ward. Also here with me is Kevin Neville on behalf of the owner. So this project was last put before the committee earlier this year for a preliminary work session with you guys. Really just to introduce you to the project and the overall layout of the site. Since then, we've taken your comments from that initial work session into account as we put together the full design plan set, as well as a full site plan application. So since you guys last saw the project, the overall layout of the site really hasn't changed significantly. We've really just fleshed it out with additional design materials, including grading, utilities, stormwater, all of that information. So just quickly running through the site layout, again, we have a new site entrance off of Sagamore Ave, just north of the entrance to 1155 Sagamore, which was a site plan project approved by the city a few years ago. Entering into the site, we have 4 standalone units. Each is 1 unit, and it'll be a condominium setup for these. You can see each unit is approximately 1,800 square feet. Each has its own driveway as well as a garage space to handle parking. So jumping into utilities, I know we discussed that at the work session earlier this year on how the city would like to see water. So we did follow that instruction. We did install the water stubs earlier this year, so we'll be able to tie into those once construction begins. For sewer, there is a force main stub in the northeast corner of our site. So we'll plan on tying into that as well. Each unit will have its own private E1 grinder pump. So those will all tie into a trunk line, which will effectively discharge into that stub to the city system. Within our site plan application, we did include the pump design calculations from the pump vendor, just to show that our sizings and such all work with what's out there. Looking at stormwater, much of our site is graded to drain towards a proposed rain garden at the west side of the site. There is a portion of our site that does continue to drain out to Sagamore, but we are capturing most of that and redirecting it to the northern property boundary, as it currently does under existing conditions. I won't jump too much into the details, but we did provide a full drainage report, HydroCAD calculations, and hydrology models to demonstrate that we are in compliance with the city's stormwater ordinances. Speaking a bit about traffic, again, it's only 4 units, so traffic isn't expected to be a major issue with this project. We did submit an application to the DOT a month or so ago, and we did get preliminary comments from them back, which were incorporated in this design. We are hoping to take any additional comments the city has to finalize these plans, and then before we do a final submission to the DOT, but it doesn't sound like they'll have any issues with this project. So yeah, those are the main talking points for this project. We did also receive some comments from your committee yesterday evening. I did email those back, our responses back today. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look those over yet. I do have copies of them.
We do have similar to last project, have additional DPW comments
Okay, perfect.
provided there.
Alright. I don't know if you guys want copies of responses for the other comments that we had. Those
are the ones you emailed us already?
It was just 4 comments related to the rain garden. So I have these if you guys want to take a look at them.
My comments are gonna supersede all those anyway, but,
Okay, perfect. Alright, so yeah, I can take a look at these. I don't know, similar to the last agenda item, if you want to look at these now, or if it's probably too much here to go over all at once.
yeah,
If there's anything
there's
major.
quite a bit. I think the primary issue is we had a couple comments about the utilities, but we also, looking at the topography, the existing topography that was there before everything got destroyed out there, doesn't really match with what's shown on the drain study. And I didn't think there was enough test pits to really quantify what the existing runoff was versus the proposed. So there's a slew of comments about the drain study and how I really don't find it plausible. I'm concerned that you're going to magnify the amount of water that runs off the site quite a bit. And I'm concerned about our little trail that's right behind the site that you're directing the water to. So I think you can take the time if you want to read through some of these, and if you want to respond to some of them, you can. But in general, I think we're gonna need to have a redesign, and I'd probably like to have a sit-down meeting with you before you try to do that, so that you're on the same page as we are before you try to redesign it again.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, and I don't know if you touched on it, but one of our comments that you got was that the stormwater all should at least be detained some way before it goes off the site. You had a pipe leaving just bypassing the rain garden altogether. And even though it might be a foundation drain that doesn't need treatment, it needs the velocity slowed down on it, so it just isn't turned into a jet of water onto our property. So a lot of your comments we're at the higher level, you're probably getting into the details, but I think we have similar concerns that the stormwater coming off the site isn't being treated enough.
You may have to rebuild a portion of the trail that's on the city property and lift it up and put a culvert under it in order to satisfy what I think may be our problems.
Okay, yeah, we can look into that.
And also, I don't know if you caught it, but the stormwater from the other site, the neighboring site, was directed onto this site, which hopefully
Also
brings
has the same problem.
Yeah.
That was included in one of my responses from earlier today. All of the stormwater, I assume you're talking about the site to the south on 55. So yeah, their water all goes to an existing rain garden, which was just recently constructed. You can see they had their emergency spillway going right into our proposed rain garden. So on our plans, we do have that called out to be shifted to the west, just so their water wouldn't dump right into our site.
Okay.
So that was how we were planning to address that. And then I guess just speaking briefly about the foundation drain. The primary reason for that setup is just due to the amount of off-site runoff that comes to our site from the north. If you take a look at the sheet C702, you can see the full watershed and how much of that area to the north is coming towards us. So that's a French drain there that's intended to intercept all of the off-site water and divert it around our rain garden. So that's why we don't have it going into our system. If we do want to have a different setup where our foundation drain is a different pipe that does go to the rain garden, that's something we can definitely look into.
Either
Again-
way, all the water's being directed toward a little trail out back.
Yeah,
because we're
exactly.
quite concerned about it.
Yeah, this definitely was a tricky site because that's really the lowest point. It's the only place we really
Right
have
now,
to
with the
discharge
existing
water.
topography, the lowest site is actually in the middle of the site.
Sure,
It actually doesn't drain off the site, which means every little bit that drains off the site is an increase in flow.
sure. Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'll definitely take a closer look at this and we can set up a meeting to go over it with you. That's a good plan.
Any other comments at this point? Anyone from the public? Anyone on Zoom? See if anybody's on Zoom. Nobody. All right, we'll close the public comment portion. Entertain a motion.
Postpone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, on to item B, the request of Nicole and William Douglas, owners for property located at 409 Lafayette Road, requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval to subdivide the existing residential lot into 2 residential lots with associated site improvements. Property is on Assessor Map 230, Lot 22, and is in the Single Residence B District.
Nice to see you. Happy New Year. That's not our plan. No, we do. Definitely not. For the record, Eric Weinberg with Altus Engineering, Vicki Douglas with me. And with Derek Durbin's office and Abby Douglas, Vicki's daughter. So tax map 230 lot 22, it's 409 Lafayette Road. We've got variance for a back lot with no frontage in September. We were before you for tax work session last month and got some good feedback on the application, and we put forth a full application to be heard today. Parcel is 30,398 square feet with 100 linear feet of frontage along Lafayette Road. To the north is a church. To the south is a 50-foot wide right-of-way with access to the existing house and access to the new back lot. Excuse me, there are no wetlands on the site or any apparent wetlands with 100 feet of the site, so no wetland issues exist. The site slopes gradually from elevation 41 to the south up to 47 on the high side along the northerly boundary. And so this is the existing condition plan. See Lafayette Road on the bottom of the plan, the church on the left, and the access drive coming in, as well as the existing home. Just go to the subject, thank you. So we created, and I used it last time, as a kind of a Tetris piece to create the frontage or the minimum lot size for the rear lot so that we can get access to it and to meet the minimum lot size. So it does have a funky shape to it. And so that creates a situation for the existing house to have an easement across the rear parcel for access, and then we're providing utility easement along the southerly boundary for the rear lot. Initially, we were looking at electric, telecommunications, gas, and sewer in that easement. We've had discussion with Dave, and due to the holidays and some personal issues, I was not able to follow up with Eversource to determine if the pole can be utilized for the rear lot. So that's pending. It's our understanding that most likely that's the case. If that's not the case, we'd have to most likely drop a new pole somewhere on the property up front near the easement and come into the site. It's not what we're hoping to do. So going to the utilities plan, you can see the electric, you don't see the electric. You see the water, sewer, and gas in the easement area. What we're proposing to do is construct that beyond the existing driveway, so at a later date, when they develop the lot, they don't have to go back through the front of the lot. We're not sure when they're gonna develop it. What the plan right now is, the Douglases are gonna move into the front building after it gets renovated and sell their existing home on Artwell and then build their new home in back. Pretty straightforward project. Because we don't know what they're gonna build in back, we request that we do the stormwater management plan at the time of a building permit application so that we're designing the stormwater management appropriately for that site. Any questions? One more comment. So at the work session, it was asked whether or not fire truck can utilize the site. We did a turning template for the fire truck, which is, I think, at the very end of the package.
Pretty close to the front, the way it's
Is it in the front? Thank you. And so we're showing the fire truck being able to come in, turn into the driveway, and then for them to back out of the driveway and drive forward toward Lafayette, they do have to utilize the existing driveway on the abutting property. Otherwise, they would just back out to Lafayette Road.
Yeah, and that right of way is common for the.
That right of way is common, but
No, but that's, I'm not worried about it then. My only concern actually about all of this is very minor, is having a sign at the end of the driveway that will tell you whatever number or descriptor is back there.
we'll absolutely make
And you're
that
not
happen.
building the house now, I'm not asking you to do it, just when you do come forward, have something that is a placeholder because we wanna know it's back there.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I assume it would be, because it's 409 and it doesn't have street up frontage, it would be an A and a B?
Do not assume that.
Yeah, good point.
And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as we all agree on it, and
Yeah.
we don't have to figure that part out now.
Yeah.
I had a question about that. You said you weren't gonna do the drainage now, but what do you have in mind for the drainage? Cause there's only so many types of houses you can build. They're all gonna have water coming off of them.
So the
We're
soils,
not gonna see it, so
well, you will see it. It's because often
in our building permit application.
in your building permit application,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being stared at.
You are.
I'm being stared at. I'm not gonna look in that direction because we will do test bits prior, and it appears that the soils are sandy out there and that we will have some sort of infiltration system. We'll have a rain garden, and we're gonna mimic pre-development conditions.
Okay, well, we'll just have to make a note to pay attention to that.
That would,
Building permit application.
I think this is a larger, kind of a global issue that we deal with now all the time, even with a lot of record and a single-family home that gets placed there that has never been there, and it's a congested area, that we should put a workflow step in, you know, that we all look at.
Yeah, that's
for-
why I'm raising, I just want it all to
Yeah.
fall on your shoulders, that you gotta deal with it all, so when it comes up, maybe we can talk about it
yeah,
together.
we recently did that for actually the former owner of this property, for their first parcel on Chevrolet. We did a stormwater management plan, and Zach reviewed that before it was on. Now, that was also going out and tying into a closed drainage system, but we've done that on other
There should be
properties.
room to deal with the water on the site, but I just wanted to get a sense of what you had in mind.
I mean, where it's a gentle slope, I envision along the southerly boundary a shallow treatment area.
And then it's ensuring that it's constructed as designed and approved, because we run into that.
I was away for a bit and I'm just going through my emails and saw one that they were trying to get a CO and
That's
it's all
different.
frozen conditions.
That's different. I was thinking one a couple of years ago that took a long time to get remedied. I won't say any names, but,
Right?
so, yeah.
Yeah,
Becomes an issue, and
yeah, no, I think that it's,
it's okay to wait, and then it's not.
well, yeah, as long as everyone's paying attention.
We did have a couple comments like the others, but not really a lot. One being show the power hookup, you have mentioned that, the electrical. I did see that it is now a 6-inch sewer service, so thank you for updating it from the 4.
But it still says connect 4-inch PVC to sewer
Yeah.
down by the street. Somebody forgot to
Yep.
have a draft.
Yeah, 1 liter got
Minor
updated.
drafting issue.
And then,
No, it wasn't a drafting issue, it was a review issue.
and then, yeah, a note that, requiring lot mitigation for runoff.
I think that's in there.
But no full printout for you guys. Wasn't enough?
Is there public comment on this one?
There is, if other chat comments? Anyone here from the public wishing to speak on this?
Actually, it's on the subdivision plan, note 13 about that. Stormwater management.
Doesn't look like there's any public comment. Any additional comments from TAC?
I was just gonna ask, talk to the assessing department sooner than later.
Yeah.
With map lot numbers, because they'll need to appear on the final plan set Mylar.
Right, you should do that before submitting the planning board. So
Right.
you have that lot number.
And are you guys gonna be okay with working with them before they go to planning board, or do you need to come back here for that utility pole?
I'm gonna make a motion. Whenever.
Now it's, Mr. Time is yours.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to move this on to the planning board. Following things, one is the address placard gets addressed, when the back building goes up. The lot number has to be on the plan. Fix the note about the 4-inch PVC sewer lateral. We got the note on the runoff, so we're good on that. And then show the proposed power hookup, and this approval is contingent with the DPW agreeing on the final setup.
I'll second,
Power.
I'll second that motion.
And then before that motion gets approved, I just looking through this, just curious, I'm sure you addressed it already, but how do you actually access that back future parcel? In other words, it seems like you just come to a stop.
So you come in and it's a shared driveway, where the
Yeah.
Tetris piece comes down, the driveway will go up right where Peter's.
So it's gonna keep on
Mhm.
going. all the way
Yeah.
It'll
through.
turn in and then.
Turn in and
It'll
then
be-
go back.
You know. Or maybe not, maybe it's just.
It's not that
No,
narrow
okay, right, okay.
So come off that existing
driveway.
driveway.
The driveway will
Yep.
come all the way up, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Extend and bare left.
That's right,
So,
yeah,
okay.
Sign.
yes, just follow the sign.
No, I mean, well,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
One more thing. Surety bond,
For this?
we do one?
No.
Doesn't work in the right of way, I'm sure.
No.
So maybe ask for a waiver?
Is there a waiver needed for that, or is it just that there is an excavation, when they get an excavation permit, they have to bond it, right?
They don't need to bond it, they just need to have an
You should ask
excavation
for a
permit.
waiver for the maintenance or the bonding in the back of the subdivision
They
regulations.
don't need to bond a single house.
But excavation permits in lieu of surety?
Excavation permit will be required for work in the right of way.
In lieu of surety.
Alright, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion
Thank
carries.
you.
Thank you. Alright, moving right along. The request of Double MC LLC owner for property located at 134 Pleasant Street, requesting site plan review approval for redevelopment of the site to include fees and expansion of the existing structure, construction of a new structure, residential and commercial uses with associated site improvements. Property is on Assessor Map 116 Lot 30 and lies within Character District 4 in the Historic District.
I did not think you would be up like this early. This would be,
Yes.
Well, lucky for you, there were so many comments.
They couldn't catch them.
you're going fast.
Afternoon, John Shagman, with me today is Mark McNabb from Double MC LLC and Tracy Kozak, project architect. Project is 134 Pleasant Street, and we're asking for site plan approval. The submission package included all the necessary items to get here. We have a complete app with all of the submission items. I don't know if you want me to go through the plan set, but owing to the general lack of public, maybe we can just talk about the comments, whatever your pleasure is.
Happy to start going through the comments.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have all this?
No, we do not yet. We, similar
Here's the real
situation. The DPW not really, the holidays, start reviewing until earlier this week, really today.
Okay, yeah, we didn't get those yet. So we'll go through the comments that we did get. So the, please include a zoning table. So with the submission that you have today is the zoning table. If there are any particular questions, Tracy can give you the responses on the table. If there was a particular question about a certain aspect of the zoning, please show how the penthouse conforms to the zoning requirements. So Tracy has two sheets, the first two 11 by 17 sheets that show the conformance. I don't know if the person making the comment wants her to explain more or just move on.
You can just keep going.
Okay. Provide agreement easements with the courthouse for the relocated parking and directed traffic. So your approval should be conditioned on the courthouse and city council approval needed for the proposed reconfiguration of the traffic flow and parking spaces with easements. Is Eric here today?
No, he's not yet.
Not here. Did you have a chance to look at these?
Yes.
Okay. The city of Portsmouth owns the land being reconfigured, the Parrot Avenue parking lot and the Court Street Fire Station lot. And the relocation of the 3 parallel parking spaces labeled for courthouse use will be provided in the same general area as currently provided, keeping 7 spaces for the court. And just to go forward a little bit, there's an exhibit here that shows the what would happen if the reconfiguration didn't get approved. The red is the existing now, so it would just kind of go back to that. But
Yeah, we don't need to change it. It's just it's more optimal in our opinion to change it, but we can leave it exactly the way curb cuts are.
yeah, we feel the submission is a better plan for the project vicinity, and in addition, we're adding 3 spaces to the public parking lot. We're defining and separating the courthouse parking and fire station access and PHA housing project from the Parrot Avenue parking lot and discouraging drivers from crossing Portsmouth Housing Authority property from Court Street to get to the public parking. Really, people should be going down Rogers, you know, if they're coming down Court Street.
We'll take it under advisement.
Okay, I'm moving on then. There was some discussion about the wherefores and wherehows of the legal ramifications. So I've included a quitclaim deed that created title to the easement that is pertinent and south of the subject lot, which is shown on this recorded plan that's in the packet. So there's access, the access, that 40-foot access across the Parrot Avenue parking lot is pertinent to the subject property. And then the courthouse lot is on the other side of the driveway, and it shows the 7 parking spaces easemented. So we're proposing to maintain that. We can discuss that in more detail later. Next comment is city council approval must be obtained to make changes to city property. We understand that, and that could be a condition of the approval. Strike utility note 9, note has been revised with a strike through. And provide title reference to the 40-foot right-of-way and evidence that the area can be modified in the manner proposed. So that was the deed that I mentioned, the plan that shows it. And currently, if you look at the existing conditions plan, you see there is parking in that right-of-way, but then there's a clear space for access and access into the subject lot that has been in place like that for quite some time. So those are the responses to the comments that we had. We believe that the city, owns the Parrot parking lot, so council can approve changes.
I can go through your comment list that we just got. Okay, John will need some of them. First one here is, do you have a copy of it, John?
No.
Is there an extra copy, Jim? Well, we can read off the same one here. Your first one, applicant will need city permission to work in city property. I just say we add that on the site plan and be done with it. Work on city property, same thing, we'll add a note. Existing gas service will need to be abandoned in Pleasant Street, coordinate with Unitil. Again, I'd say no. Confirm Unitil will allow 2 gas services to the site. Do we have two because we've got 1 to each building?
Well, yeah, I believe so, because there's.
Yeah, I know they will, but we'll put that.
Yeah, we've been working with.
Just confirm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah,
confirm.
just confirm it, okay. Show existing sewer service to the building.
Yeah, those are not on the existing conditions plans. We'll be working that out. There seems to be a number of pipes in the basement that exit the building, so we're gonna have
We'll
to
depict it.
do some researching there, and I don't know. It'll be removed down to the point that we show the proposed connection. It'll be more like demo notes, get rid of other services. I don't think it goes to Pleasant Street.
No, I don't think it goes to Pleasant Street either, but none of us have ever been in that building, so
Okay.
we'd love to take the tour.
We'll take you down there. It's an interesting basement, yeah.
Okay.
And then this does kind of tie into the 2 buildings thing. Are both the sewer services gonna be through one?
Yeah.
They're 2 separate buildings, but,
The way I showed it is they're
Yeah.
both coming out as one.
okay.
So
It
there's
is one building though, right?
It's
It's essentially
Tracy,
one
no.
building?
question.
It is not.
It's 2.
Okay.
Well, I mean, on subterranean parking it is, but
Physically,
above ground, it's 2 separate.
No, I
buildings.
get that, yeah, but structurally it's,
Structurally, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, one's a new building, one's an existing building, but, so,
Basement.
but the basement's really accessible and clear and easy to follow, so it would make sense for us to use the existing sewer, and they have a really large one.
Unless it becomes difficult to pipe through the, so, you're allowed to have more than one.
Yeah.
We're asking questions, that's all. This is the first time the DPW's seen this project at all, so we're just we're at the entry level here.
Yep, and with the basement layout, I think we can come down the new building and go down that wall. So we can take you on a tour, we'd love to.
Okay.
Separate domestic and fire services for water, of course.
That was done, they're shown.
Showing one pipe coming in and then splitting, unless we're reading your plans wrong.
Yeah, they're meant to be two pipes like in the same trench, but yeah, we'll clear that up.
Okay.
Definitely two services. Yeah.
Yep.
Basement floor plans do not have water utility rooms.
It says storage, but it will be changed to water utility.
Okay.
Do not connect proposed catch basins to sewer main, correct. Run drainage across Parrot Avenue.
That's a separation question,
So that, right, that's really our major issue with this site.
Yeah.
Because right now it's all combined flow, so the roof is combined.
Yeah.
Whatever flows out of that basement is combined.
Yeah.
Whatever comes off the parking lot is combined.
Yeah.
We want you to separate it all. So we're
To
gonna want you to
what?
put a drain pipe across the parking lot. And hopefully into our existing outfall if we have capacity. So you're gonna need to do some work.
Yeah.
So we
So,
can stormwater separate like the good doobies that we all are.
yeah. As far as long-term, you have no plans yet or looked at that as far as where you want the separations to occur. It's just an old system that is combined at the moment.
Our parking lot is separated. Your lot is not.
Okay.
Yours is separated, okay.
Yours is separate.
We put in drainage when we did the parking lot job during COVID,
Gotcha.
Okay.
but
So is there a
your
place that-
site has catch basins and roof drains that all drain into the sewer.
Gotcha. So we'll just separate them. I mean, we're not,
So
Our
we're gonna
drainage is
want you
gonna
to
be the
run a
same.
drain pipe all the way across the parking lot
yeah, that's fine.
and into your site and separate the roof and the parking
Sure.
lot and put it into the stormwater system.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's the right thing
But
to
that's
do.
not what's shown on the plans right now.
Okay, so well,
So the connection point would be all the way to
You got catch
Catch basin 4407,
4407.
duly noted on the comment sheet.
Okay. And that's in Parrot
Parrot
Avenue.
Avenue. Yep.
And that's the closest there isn't
That's
any.
the closest one that I think is a straight shot.
okay.
Yep.
Will these buildings have roof drains and connect to the storm water system? They'll have roof drains, yes, and they'll connect to the storm water system.
Yes.
Show basement dewatering. We don't anticipate needing any dewatering. We have a full basement right now with full height, 12,000 square foot basement. So we're not actually altering the existing basement of the existing building, and we don't get water in there. So, and we don't.
I also have a new building that's gonna have the same size foundation as the existing foundation.
Correct, it's closer to Pleasant, but we,
So all we're saying is if we're gonna have foundation drains, that they're done correctly,
sure, to storm.
that we have evaporative drains inside the garage,
Correct,
and that they don't go into the sewer.
correct.
That's really what we're saying.
Yeah, we agree. It's exactly what we did at Pleasant Street.
I know, we're just saying it out loud.
Yep. Make sure that's on your plan, John.
Yep, so we can connect the, any foundation drains to the drainage system, in other words.
If needed.
If needed.
I don't know how that existing basement drains, we've never been in there, so.
No food preparation in the building. Typical handicap curb ramp details show 3 foot minimum, 3 foot width minimum. Update to full width of sidewalk. Okay.
It's an ADA code thing.
How wide is the ramp to the underground parking garage?
12 feet,
12 feet,
So
Is
it's
it one or
ve-
two
so it's
vehicles
one
wide?
vehicle wide.
one way.
one way.
So you need to tell us what you're gonna do for signal systems to,
Yeah, we'll have a signaling system for that.
okay?
That should be on the plan too. Parking lot, drive aisle is only 18 feet wide at the courthouse end.
So it's 18 feet between the columns and it's 22 feet between the spaces. The columns are every 3 spaces, so the strategy is that
Are you talking about the garage?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
talking under.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
they're
outside.
talking
They're
lot.
talking.
This is outside on the courthouse lot.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yeah, it narrows down there, so we've made the spaces wider to accommodate turning movements, so you can get in there, if you notice the last spaces.
Okay.
When it gets down below the,
That was Mr. Eby's comment. We'll
Yep.
make sure he looks at that.
okay,
Why are there 2 12-foot wide parking spaces
That's
near?
the reason,
that's the
okay?
reason.
Yep.
That's why. The columns will make turning into some of the parking spaces graduate, okay?
That's for Tracy, that's in the
Yep.
garage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Eric's comment, so.
How will trash pick up underground? There'll be 4-yard dumpsters that we bring out with electric pull. That's how we do it at 60 Penn Hollow, how we do it at 93. We don't have food operations, so the amount of trash is typical. It's
Where will you pick up the trash totes?
They will be brought up for a hauler in our driveway. We'll bring them up for waste management.
Okay.
At the top.
If we could just detail that on the plan so it's clear where the trash pickup's supposed to be brought out to.
Provide dimensions of bike parking stalls.
They are, each hoop has a space with it that's 3 feet wide by 6 feet long, so you can park 2 bikes on a hoop, one on each side.
But provide the dimensions.
3 feet by 6, yep,
I know on
okay.
the plans. Parking demand analysis appears to be, why don't you read that, John?
Okay.
So that's similar to the other building last month that we talked about, where he wants a
He wants an ITE.
parking
Yeah.
demand analysis done.
Yeah.
And not a parking requirement analysis. It's totally, it's kind of
Yep.
potato, but
Right.
it's not, so.
And I don't know if he has other comments. I don't know if we engaged a traffic engineer, so I don't know if he's reached out to him. But we'll update the
Okay.
information submitted. Wanted to get something in though in the meantime. Give you the general ballpark.
There'll be a reduction in parking on the courthouse site due to the proposed changes. We're not reducing parking, right?
Correct. There's
Yeah.
7 now, there'll be 7.
Yeah.
So it would need their, if you look at the deed I submitted, the city, when they sold the courthouse land, they gave easements for parking to the court. There's nothing in the deed that says anything about moving them. And so that's a Trevor, we'll
It's a
have a
wrinkle.
conversation. What's that?
It's a wrinkle.
It's a wrinkle.
Okay.
So, but as we submitted here, going back to the old way doesn't super negative impact. It's only 2 spaces that is less. Or 5, because you're missing the 3 that we're creating in Parrot parking lot. If that answers it in a way.
Bank Drive up window is not in bank building. Will it be manned? They have tubes now, so both of them are just tubes. They'll stay right where they are, but be tubes.
So the drive-up window is gonna
Won't be.
stay where it is.
Stay right where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, right where it is, same traffic flow.
Just wanna make sure there's
We're not changing anything on the drive-through. We're not opening that.
they're using the drive-through like they do today.
We're losing it like it is today,
Okay.
correct? That's exactly right.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Do not enter, and one-way sign should be, of course, issued.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's just the standard sign dimensioning and everything, yep.
Provide queue length analysis for bank drive-through windows that will not interfere with parking lot circulation. That's fine. We know that we don't have a queue issue, but
We'll talk to Eric about that. So the bank, being the tenant, they've studied this to death and they we show a 3-car queue. It doesn't interfere with anything. When there's more than 3 cars, or when it gets to 3 cars, people don't go to the drive up, they park and walk inside. Or they go to the ATM, so there is 2 lanes there, so.
We actually think the future is drive-through will go away electronically. It's just not anything that, it's not a Dunkin' Donuts. If you look at all the 4 or 5 drive-throughs downtown on Banks, they don't have a queuing issue.
But it's important for some of the public.
Yeah.
People with young kids, elderly that don't wanna get out, so the bank wants it.
Oh, absolutely. Need tip down and sidewalk for bank, crosswalk and parking lot.
That was on there, but yes, we can add that, sure.
Door and crosswalk in drive-through lane is concerning for pedestrian safety, especially with narrow 3-foot wide sidewalks on both sides, door and crosswalk.
So that's in the back here, that's the, if you got the pointer, that one, is that the one that people are commenting about?
There's a door and a crosswalk by the drive.
Yeah, it's a, so the sidewalk where your arrow is now is the one that gets you out. I don't see that as a primary entrance, I don't know, Tracy.
Not at all.
It's just an emergency fire exit.
Yeah.
That stair is not used otherwise unless it's an emergency or people are exiting the building.
So we can label it a fire door.
The one thing I might suggest is you might want a bollard, so when you, the door can still open full distance, it's just, if someone's standing there, they don't get, I mean, maybe it's a feel-good thing, it's on the curb, but.
Yeah, it's definitely not a main entrance, but bollards a good idea. Trip generation of proposed site needs to be compared to trip generation of existing site to show difference.
Yep.
How will cyclists access bike racks above the ramp to the garage?
Sidewalk.
There's a
between
sidewalk
the ramp and
along
the
the building. I think, Peter, if you go to the.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right there. That sidewalk goes, and then the cars go underneath, or there's an elevated platform.
Yeah, that sidewalk goes to the new entrance in the back, which will have an elevator and a stair, which speaks to, that'll be a main entrance for the upper floor apartments. And it will go to the parking garage. That's their list.
One other very minor thing, the drive-up overhang, maximum height sign.
Excuse me?
A maximum height sign. I mean, I know you were gonna do it, but just make sure you do it. That's all.
Sure.
So Tracy, for the penthouse, are you saying that the stairs are the building that you're measuring from for the 15 feet? From the
So-
edge of the-
We're calling the penthouse the area above the existing building, and the stair addition is simply that, it's a stair appurtenance, is how we've measured it.
Right, so you're measuring the 15 feet that's supposed to be set back from the edge of the building? From this
From the
distance?
floor, well, it's kind of weird because it's all connected, but the penthouse over the existing building is 21 feet back from the edge of the floor below. So if we don't call this little corner here a penthouse, it's a stair appurtenance, then our penthouse, you can't see this, the penthouse comes across here and ends here. Floor below comes out another 21 feet this way.
So you're measuring from the floor below?
Right, the second page has those dimensions in the roof plan.
Yeah, it's just better for an existing building to add a stair appurtenance with an elevator, not have to cog out inside the building. It's a lot easier and it's a lot more construction friendly to add a new core for that elevator.
And then this one is only 14 feet, 8 inches?
And on the front, are we short 4 inches? That, yeah, so that measures 14 feet 8, we are 4 inches short, we will make that 4 inches bigger to get the 15 feet.
You have room
Yeah.
to shift it back if you need.
Yep, we will make that work
Alright.
at 15 feet.
do have another question, sorry. Bringing up work on that courthouse property, that sewer manhole that you want to connect into, I believe that is on courthouse property. Mission as well.
Let me take a look here.
Courthouse property.
Sewer manhole.
Sewer manhole 1252.
1252. So the courthouse property is along the building. Let's see.
There's a lot line there, it's not showing.
Right.
Alright.
Yeah, it's on city
It's
Portsmouth.
on city.
Okay.
Should be.
Yeah, the lot line's almost all the way over at the courthouse. Yeah, that sewer manhole's on the city of Portsmouth.
Alright.
Yeah, just the courthouse, just. Oh, this is that.
And you're still at HTC, or you'll be there tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Public hearing.
I think this plan here is deceiving, the way it's laid out, but the courthouse has like a second story that comes way over. I think, so that if you look at this, it looks like the courthouse is off the property line, but there's a second story that's
Yeah.
over at the property line.
Good, you just didn't show the lot line on the courthouse side, so
A little flat.
it was a little deceiving, that's all.
Yep. So, just to get back to you'll get back to me on whether you like this alternative arrangement or not. Where do we go with that? Have a meeting, or you wanna talk
What do
about?
you mean the alternative?
Command permission from the city for the
Yeah.
access through the.
I just make that a
parking
condition
spaces.
on approval. We'd like to go with what we're saying is we'd like to go forward with the plan we presented.
Yeah.
With the condition the city of Portsmouth needs to approve it, the council and the courthouse.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's just a question of timing. When do you have a letter ready to go for the council?
no, this would be post everything, this would be something that the condition would be approved, would be conditional upon.
So if you don't get it, you go back to the other one or come back here and do it?
Correct, we go back to the as-is plan. Exactly that, we don't make any changes to the curb cut.
And the impact is just in a couple of spaces at the end of.
Okay, so you got some work to do, you gotta show us the drainage system,
Yeah.
just the utilities, talk to the gas company.
Yep.
Go
But we
through
can
some
go
details.
forward with the design we have at this point, with possible other conditions that
Yeah, I think you can come back next month,
Mark said.
and then we can look at your final plan. It's not terrible.
Yep.
So we've only seen it once.
So that's that way of doing that?
I think it'll be okay. The planning board has to agree,
Correct.
but
course.
if they're good with it,
Yeah.
then we'll just be really clear on what you're gonna do in terms of if the council doesn't approve it.
Yep.
Um,
Put a sheet in the set.
It wouldn't hurt you to
We'll-
go ahead
we'll
with
put a
that
sheet.
request anyway, but put a separate sheet.
Yeah.
This alternative A with council approval, alternative B without council approval.
Yeah.
So it's really clear, the planning board, that's how you're proceeding.
That's a
You're
good
gonna
way
go
to
for
do
the council afterwards, then make that clear too. So they know when it's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen. And that there's no other changes, that you're not gonna lose any parking or gain any parking either way, it's the same.
Correct.
So I think that could be stated at the meeting, but.
And the planning board did see the alternative, we brought that up at the concept meeting with planning board.
Oh, at the preliminary conceptual?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did. And then we didn't do TAC workshop because we had we had a plan that we thought was good, but the ZBA denied it, so we wanted to get back in the queue. So we didn't do a workshop with you, but we'd be glad to meet with you soon and show you the basement and talk about
That we'd like to do
sewer separation.
before the next meeting.
That'd be good.
Okay?
Yeah,
And
we could
the,
do it sooner than
the
rather than later, that'd
workaround
be
for
great.
the lack of the variance for the drive-through, I think that's why I was asking all those questions about the drive-through. If it's operating the same as it does today, then you don't need the
Correct.
variance. So the planning board's gonna ask about that too.
Sure.
So,
That's why we're leaving it alone.
Yep.
Because we got denied.
Yep.
BOA. And, so we understand we can't change anything about it.
yeah, it works, if it stays the same, then it works. The bank's allowed use, just not the drive-through on that site, so like non-conforming has to stay the way it is.
Yeah, that's how we're leaving it.
Yeah, okay.
Forever and ever and ever.
Huh?
All right, I don't see anyone from the public or online,
Oh, good.
so. Is that a motion?
So, motion to postpone until next month for review the final design.
Second. Zach, second.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we'll adjourn from the day.
Chad, is that something you wanna go through at all in the building when Dave goes through it?